Hello, everyone. We're going to get started now. More people may filter in. We're just getting things set up, but we'll jump right in now. So thank you so much for joining us today for our Strike Up Connects Tools of the Trade webinar. As you may have just seen, the session will be recorded. And we kindly ask that you just keep your microphones muted during the presentations. We do have some dedicated time set aside at the end to answer any follow-up questions or inquiries. And I'll jump right in with introductions. My name is Victoria Pitchler. I'm the marketing and communications lead for Strike Up, and I'm so excited to be moderating today's discussion. In the audience, I also have my colleague, Heather Cannings, who oversees our Strike Up partnerships, and she also leads all of our women entrepreneurship strategy programs.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say a quick welcome. We're so glad that you could join us today for what is set to be an informative and enlightening presentation, hearing from two inspiring women entrepreneurs who have tackled exporting in their business head on as they walk us through their journey and how our partners EDC, BDC, and Trade Commissioner Service have been able to help them thrive. Thank you to our partners as Strike Up continues to connect you with information, resources, and services to help you grow your business. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you today.
And just for anyone who's a little bit unfamiliar with Strike Up and you're new and just getting introduced to us now, we are Canada's flagship digital conference, and we're dedicated to supporting women entrepreneurs and providing them a forum for growth, mentorship, and financing. Our Strike Up Connects webinar series, it was developed to offer a more intimate setting to really hone in on specific topics in business. And it's all led by industry experts. So which brings me to today's theme, Tools of the Trade, where we're going to have the opportunity to learn from Vanessa from the Trade Commissioner Service. I also have Catherine with us from Export Development Canada, and David as well from the Business Development Bank of Canada. So thank you, Vanessa, Catherine, and David for tuning in today and giving us some insight into all things trade. And together, we're going to end up learning about the different programs, the initiatives, and those different business resources that are available to help you as an entrepreneur grow your company internationally. And also to kick off today's session, we're actually going to be hearing firsthand from two very remarkable women entrepreneurs to give us a little bit of insight into their journeys growing and scaling their companies. And I'm pleased to welcome Sheena Brady, who's the founder and CEO of Tease and the Founders Fund. Sheena was also a previous Strike Up panelist at our digital conference this past March. A little bit of detail on her as the founder and CEO behind Tease Tea. Sheena formulates all natural tea and botanical-based tea blends and beauty staples to support your everyday rituals without compromising convenience, sustainability, and impact. So this includes, she's also recently launched the world's first fully biodegradable and refillable tea collection centered around wellness. And with every Tease tea purchase, you're not only investing in yourself, but you get to invest in the success of early stage woman-owned businesses through her Tease Founders Fund program, which has distributed over $200,000 to date in microgrants, education, and mentorship programming. And Sheena and her team have been recognized for several awards, including Top 30 in e-commerce, Changemaker Award, and the Woman of Influence Momentum Award. And also joining us today, I'd like to give a very warm welcome to the CEO of AtmanCo, Marie-Christine Drolet. After 11 years with AtmanCo, which was then publicly traded, Marie-Christine purchased the company and transformed it into a talent platform that now integrates psychrometrics with analytics and artificial intelligence. So the psychometric and potential analysis sector is very competitive with several established players. And to differentiate itself and take leadership position in the industry, AtmanCo has accelerated its investment in innovation, research, and development. And Marie Christine was a 2023 finalist for the CEO of the Year AQT, which is the Quebec Association of Technologies. She was also recognized as one of Canada's most powerful women top 100 awards. And Marie Christine and her team, they combine science with originality to offer cutting edge solution that accurately assesses talent, provides a fun and simplified version of communication, supports competency development, and develops managers with its unique product, the AtmanCo Intelligence Virtual Coach. With that said, I'd like to thank you both, Sheena and Marie Christine, for taking the time today to join us. I'm really excited to hear from you both. And to get us started, we're actually going to dive in with Sheena first. And let me just bring her up and just pin her to the screen quickly.
Oh, thank you for the kind intro. I think you're muted currently, but I'm happy to jump right in if you'd like.
Nope, perfect. I just found your video now. Hello, Sheena.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Thank you for hopping on. Now, do you mind telling us a little bit about your company and where you're at with exporting journey as you've expanded?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for the kind intro. And as you shared at Tease, we really focus on the concept of accessible self-care. So investing in your well-being without compromising convenience and sustainability or impact. And we do that through progress over perfection when it comes to constantly improving the products that we offer and put out into the world at Tease. And then of course, with our sister organization, Founders Fund, that invests in early stage women founders through mentorship, programming, and resources. And that can be found at founders.ca if anyone is curious about checking that out. But it's hard to believe when I think out loud that I started Tease in 2013, almost a decade ago, as a creative outlet, a side hustle, something to really help with my demanding career in hospitality. At the time, it was my dream to open a restaurant. I was surviving on 7, 8, 9 cups of coffee a day to get through the 10, 11-hour shifts, working nights, weekends, holidays, and obviously plot twist, consuming that amount of coffee did very little to help with my already existing insomnia, digestive issues, and all that good stuff. So that journey in hospitality, the short of how I ended up in the world of tea, is I got to work at the Shangri-La Hotel in Toronto as a service manager. And if anyone's not familiar with the Shangri-La, it's really the Four Seasons of Asia as far as 4-star luxury hotels go. And they have 2 properties in Canada. So I helped open the one in Toronto, and I was asked to implement a PR-worthy program featuring 75 different blends from around the world with cultural tea ceremonies, because, how the British like their tea versus Japanese versus, Moroccans, etc. It's all a unique experience. So the interesting part of that journey is I didn't even drink tea at the time. So I definitely had my work cut out for me, because again, I just drank a lot of coffee to get through my demanding career that I had. But what I didn't expect was to fall in love with the world of tea and botanical ingredients along the way, mostly for their functional elements. And, next thing I knew, I was having so much fun creating my own formulations. If I needed extra energy throughout my day to get through that 2 p.m. brain fog, I was turning to like a yerba mate green tea hybrid blend to really help me get through that in a sustained, energetic way instead of crashing like we sometimes do with coffee, right? Same thing for sleep support and all of that. So that's how I fell into the world of tea and started my side hustle at the time. And in terms of how Tease has grown and evolved over the years, we've shifted tremendously as a loose leaf tea company, because that was just simply easier to execute on. You really rely on a lot less manufacturing when you're focusing on just loose leaf tea. But during the pandemic, I really wanted to kind of transform our offerings because I realized, we're all, myself included, we're all living in a world with more demands than us, than ever before. We're all plugged in more than ever before. So how can we, keep that beautiful integrity of our loose leaf formulations, but in a convenient tea bag format? And how do we do it with sustainability in mind? And so by being very intentional about reverse engineering our entire product and our entire operations, frankly, we unintentionally created the world's first fully biodegradable and refillable tea collection. We didn't realize that that wasn't a thing until we had actually created it. And so everything from the beautiful, I should have one beside me, I don't know why I don't, but everything from the beautiful outer packaging to the refills to the tea bags themselves are fully backyard compostable and of course biodegradable. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with Tease in terms of, how our business has evolved. And I don't know if you want me to go right into, my growth journey on the export side, or shall I let our other guests, I don't know, introduce themselves first, whatever makes the most sense for the group here.
Oh, if you don't mind, I'd love to hear, jump into your growth.
Talk for a long time. That's why I like to pause and check in and just, read the room a bit. So in terms of like our growth journey, like I said, we started as a loose leaf tea company. They were in stand-up pouches. Wasn't super cute on shelves, nothing revolutionary. If you're walking by a shelf, it's not going to really grab your attention. And so we really struggled on the B2B side, on the omni-channel side for sure. And so we really kind of doubled down at e-commerce early on. But by being very intentional about the new era of Tease, as I like to say, since late 2021, we've been able to grow into almost 400 new retail partners across Canada and the US, including launching separately in every Indigo store across the country as well recently, and partnerships with Bloomingdale's. But when I think on the growth journey into the early days, I think a lot of people really underestimated me and misunderstood me as like the cute tea girl. I was like, oh, you do this cute little tea thing. And it's like, no, like I have an actual business that this is my life's work that I've chosen to do, that I'm very passionate about. And I'm trying to build, a social impact, profitable, values-led company. And so it was very, very difficult to get funding in our early days. And, the fun fact that I've shared frequently is quite simply, we did our first $500,000 in revenue with the company with only a $1,000 secured Visa credit card. And that might sound super impressive on the surface, but it was certainly a logistical nightmare on the back end, trying to bootstrap and juggle things around, and to the point where situations were comical. Like if I had to buy, let's say like $10,000 in inventory, I would overpay the credit card by $10,000. So it would be in the negative credit.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I would, buy my inventory that way. And my business advisor, well-intended as she was at that time, she'd call me up and she said, you can't do that. Like you're flagging out our algorithm for money laundering. And I thought, this is hilarious, because like, you're not giving me any financial support or capital. I'm left to, this is the only option that I can do. And you're telling me not to do it. And so, I really struggled during that time. And I think probably shortly after, I do have to bring up Futurepreneur Canada briefly, because I spoke with them and I was looking for access to capital, and they gave me a modest loan. And that was, at the time, even though it was like a modest small loan, it was kind of like a mini gateway into my current super long-standing relationship with BDC and EDC that has completely transformed my business. Because if there are any early stage entrepreneurs out there, Futurepreneur is an excellent, I like to say, almost like entry-level organization to see if you can get, your first loan for your business. And they're backed by BDC if you are approved. And so by doing that, you become a BDC customer or client rather. So now I was kind of slowly building this track record, right? And so it's that track record and that consistency that really helped continue the gateway of access to capital and support and resources from our banking partners over the years afterwards. We still struggled, incredibly, despite the small loan that we got from Futurepreneur at that time, and still juggled things the best that we could. And then at a certain point, my home branch bank, they were about ready to break up with me because I kept, knocking on their door, just being like, I need help, I need help. And they would give me business cards to other banks at one point. So that was great. Then I went to an event at Startup Canada on the Hill, and I saw that there was a VP of BDC who'd be doing a keynote. But in addition to that, he'd be offering almost this like speed dating mentorship type of thing, right? Where you get to sit down and talk with an expert for 5 minutes and share your story. And so I did exactly that. I chased this man down at Startup Canada on the Hill, and I sat down with him and I explained, my whole situation. And I think by that point, we'd certainly done over $1 million in revenue with still this $1,000 secured Visa credit card. And so I shared this story with him, and he said, okay, he said, I'm going to send someone to come and talk to you and come see your business, come see your operations. And I remember thinking like, oh, I'm not going to hold my breath because I'm the one used to having to go into the banks and chase people down. But no, he was true to his word, and he sent this incredible woman, Catherine, to my office in Ottawa. And she sat down with me, and that was a huge transformational moment for me with my business, for sure, because I remember just kind of sliding a bunch of papers to her when she was like, so let's look at your financials. And I slid them over to her, and she said, no, like, I need you to like walk me through them line by line. Like, what does this represent in your business? Like, what does that represent? And embarrassingly, I wasn't able to actually articulate that to her because I was so busy as an entrepreneur, just focused on the million other things in my business. I had just, trusted my bookkeeper and accountant to handle the finances. And so I couldn't properly advocate for myself in that moment, is what I realized. I couldn't tell the story of my business and connect the dots where, the real world of entrepreneurship and then what it says on your books. And then that middle ground, like, what does that actually mean? What is that language, right? And so she walked me through every single line, like what the definitions were, what they represented. We had an incredible conversation. And she said, you know what, I'm quite confident I can get you a term sheet, which is a loan. And it was a significant amount. She's like, I'm quite confident I can get, the sign off and support on this. She said, but I really want to encourage you to go back to your home bank first. And I'm going to give you a fresh new contact because clearly your old situation really wasn't a great match, wasn't really working out. And I want you to walk in there and communicate to them what's going on with your business the way we just walked through, the way that, you now better understand your business on the projection side, on the P&L side, on the balance sheet side, all of that. Because I think you'll get better rates there. And I was surprised at that recommendation because I thought, well, how does BDC benefit from this by sending me somewhere else? But I followed her advice, and that's exactly what happened. All of a sudden, I was able to get a lot more support from my home bank. I then went back to BDC later on to help fund certain projects and purchase orders and things like that for our business. And then EDC has been brought on board as well along that journey because we've exported a lot over the last 5 years. And I'd say a solid 35 to 40% of our business is exported in quite large quantities for large purchase orders. And I think, on the EDC side, beyond the access to capital, I think it's called like the EDC credit insurance. That's been like a huge, just weight off my shoulders, which essentially means that, let's say I have $100,000 purchase order that's going to the United States, and that client chooses for whatever reason not to pay us. EDC will actually insure up to a certain amount, make sure that I still get paid, but they'll also act as like the liaison, right? The middleman. So I don't have to confront that company by myself, right, or exclusively, that owes us payment. And so just that added security and trust has been really helpful in our partnerships. And so that's the short, I guess, or the short and long of our story, our growth, our support, thanks to BDC and EDC. And we actually would not be able to get the current era of Tease off the ground and into the world today if it wasn't for the support of BDC and EDC. They, for lack of better words, they bankrolled that entire experience to get it out there into the world. And it's a huge success today, thanks to their support.
It's amazing, just from start to beginning to where you are now. It's a fabulous story. And also for anyone watching, as I mentioned, Sheena did do another Go Global panel with EDC at our conference in March. You are able to rewatch her session there too, where it's a little bit more in detail with other entrepreneurs as well, going into international trade, and that's available at strikeup.ca. But I will say, I think we have Claudine here from BDC. Yes, Sheena, incredible role model for all women entrepreneurs and women in business. And with that said, I think to wrap things up on your end, did you have any tips or maybe advice for entrepreneurs looking to kind of grow, scale their business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think really flexing your self-advocacy skills are critical. And that includes knowing your books, right? And I know that sounds like the most basic advice in the world, but the reality is, as entrepreneurs, we have it's like whack-a-mole on any given day, right? We have like 100 other priorities. Like, when is it ever a priority to be like, let me understand my balance sheet and sign out? And it's just the last thing that's on our mind usually. But it's really, really important that you take the time to understand your financials in detail, your future projections, what your needs are, and to be able to, most importantly, like tie that all together and clearly communicate it in a way that, I'm not saying like has to have bank jargon. Like, I'm not that person either. I much prefer just like layman's everyday jargon-free speak. But you need to be able to connect the dots between what your financials mean and what the story it represents in your business. Because at the end of the day, there's not a single human on the planet that knows your company better than you do. And you're going to be the best person to really create a compelling case for what you need in your business.
Exactly. Well said. And we're just checking the chat here to see if there were questions. Oh yeah, perfect. Anyone curious about Sheena's brand and company, Tease and Founders Fund? She just dropped the links into the chat. Amazing. Well, thank you, Sheena, so much taking the time out of today just to give us that little recap and summary of your journey. And yeah, once again, thank you, partners, EDC, BDC. It's
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I will say, I will jump over to Marie Christine, who will dive into a bit of insight on her entrepreneur journey as well. And I believe she has a presentation, so I'm just going to give me one moment to bring that up and let her take over the mic.
Hello. Thank you. So do you see my screen?
Yes, I see your screen.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm just going to do a little overview of who we are. So at Atman, we're very, very proud to have now 1,500 clients more. We're getting to 2,000. We work with the manager, but a lot with HR, and we have more than 2,500 HR certified. As partners, we went for export, we went directly, and we're still doing direct sales, but our perfect model is through partners, and we have more than 100 partners worldwide. We're now in 25 countries, but let me tell you, it hasn't been easy. There was lots of trial and errors. We're now available in 6 languages, which was a requirement to be able, as a platform, to be international. We had to add more value to our partners by bringing more languages, and we always have pressure to bring new ones. But also for export, we brought 3 new products which accelerate our growth. As you mentioned, psychometric is a very competitive environment. So to differentiate ourselves, to be able to enter some different markets, especially the US market, we have to do things differently, which is what we did. And we actually today we have a patent that we just ask for Canada and the US. So different clients from small to a very large organization. Going into the international, we had to adjust with security, with different concern about what's my personal information, which was different if we can compare to Canada versus France, for example. So we had to make quite a few adjustments just to not only for language, but also to be able to not scare people and go with what their expectation. And now we went to having a hard time closing just a few clients or internationally, and now to be able to have clients like such as Air Liquide World, which are using us in 5 different countries. So we're really happy about that. Atman, just a little overview is we started with psychometric, which is the heart of our solution. So with job fit, interview guide, fit with manager, fit with the team, and culture fit. But to be more competitive, we brought it somewhere different. We went from a very precise tool to a very fun tool. So it's the same underneath, but what you see and what you get is now very different. So we've developed six personality style, and I'm saying that because at first in the United States, it was very, very competitive, still is, but we couldn't, our tool was too sophisticated, too precise in the sense it was not answering their need of simplicity and having fun and so on. So we developed a tool which really fits better for the US, for team building, for having fun, for communication. The other thing that we developed is a game. We're not really making money for the game, but it's a way of spreading our brand. And we've developed another tool, which is the competency development, which brings us further than psychometric to be different. And also we've developed, that's the one that we just presented a pattern on. It's a virtual coach for managers, so which gives you great insight to understand, collaborate, motivate, and develop your employee just with great information, great advice, and actionable advice. So that's our company. I was mentioning we did a lot of trials and errors into trying to do export. At first, we thought that because we were really great in locally, it would work. It's not the case, and I like to bring the example of France, where the first time we went, it was people kept asking, do you have an office there? It was very tough to get to reach the right people that would make the decision. So we the first time it just didn't work, and we just changed our model and just decided to work with partners instead of going directly. And we chose different types of partner, trials and errors, having individual people that are, and they're small business, very small partner of a certain size, let's say 50 employee, and very large organization. Sometimes people will think to have the largest is the better, but it's not. To have partners that are approximately your size or maybe a little bit bigger can bring you, you can become a big percentage of their company, of their income, and they will put a lot more attention to you and to your product rather than a really international base, but company. So that's our experience. We were trying to find a recipe, and I think for export, that's what the owner has to do. What works for your friend, your entrepreneur's friend, it won't necessarily work for you. And the strategy for us, we tried so many things, going to trade shows. Some trade shows were super bad. We couldn't close any sales at all. So to choose the best fit, I was advised to stay for about 3 years to see if it works. I think now, looking back, it was a bad idea. I think we need to see the signs that the market is accepting your product, that there's a fit. And so we just continue. But our first step was to really to make a difference was, as I mentioned, languages, new product. We also invested in IP, getting IP, protecting our trademarks. That's what the things that we need to do, especially internationally. And then after we just went for a trade show, then also we went for right now we're going to well, I'm saying right now, but at the beginning of the year we used the trade commissioner services to go to California. So we were selected. We went to Women in Tech California. So we were brought there with and we were introduced to many pro-Canadian, many pro-woman entrepreneur, which really made a difference. Going to the US and just trying to knock at some doors without contact is really not easy. So I've seen the difference going with a delegation and being introduced. And then after, I'm going back in actually next week, we're going back to LA. And it really makes a difference for VCs, for accelerated growth for the future, also to potential partners. And trade commissioner services to me, it's well, at first it was to go there with the delegation, but it's also to get advice when I go back, to tell me insight about what I should do or not do. So it's really a good way to have not friends, but people that really support you and people that know pro-woman or pro-Canadian entrepreneur. So that's what we have done to accelerate our growth. We got some loan from the BDC, which to me with the BDC, if you compare to a bank, they will take more risk. Which is with the type of project that we have and the type of investment that we have is you have to find your fit. So for us, it was the best fit. There's also some condition that you can write, that you can ask. I think, and most of entrepreneurs will say, ask for money when you don't need it 100%. Ask it when you need before you really need it. So that would be an advice that I would give. So ask when you don't represent a little bit of a risk, but not too much. That you need money, but not too much. So with the BDC, it was we got a really good condition. Things were quick also, but also why I chose the BDC was that they're not on your back. They let you breathe and do your stuff. Which if you decide to go with VCs, for example, it's much more of an investment in terms of reporting. I'm not saying they don't do reporting, but it's a more soft reporting. That's the general opinion about BDC for entrepreneur in my surrounding. So yeah, talking about the exportation, I think we cannot have the magic thought. I think we need to find our own recipe and find also the right people that will do the job. We need people that are able to adjust, because the recipe that really work locally won't work in another culture. So you have to be empathic, like to feel the new culture, feel the way to enter and to influence the client, to sell your ideas, but in a different way that you would do locally. So you have to select either yourself, you can go, but also select other people that really have some specific characteristic. We're in psychometric evaluation, so that select specific that have specific characteristic in terms of influence, in terms of adaptability, and also in terms of willingness to travel and be out there and do the extra effort to export and to persevere until you get it. Because I don't know, my story, we had to persevere to get to have like 25 25 countries that buy our solution. But down the line,
it's incredible.
we're super happy. Yeah.
I think that's our key word for today was the perseverance and just having that resilience to get over that milestone and and all the challenges that arise with being an entrepreneur and starting your own business. But I was just reading our chat here, such great advice. I think everyone can resonate with that. And anyone also interested in checking out AtmanCo, I also just dropped in her website if anyone would like to check it out. And were there any other final touches for you at all, Marie-Christine?
Well, if you decide to go, like as an advice, like don't go worldwide, like you decide on a specific zone. And when you do go for funding or loan or whatever, you have to be precise, which is good because it makes you decide where you want to go and analyze why you want to go. So it's you're better. Make sure you're strong locally. And then after, make sure that you choose a specific zone for a specific reason, and just don't go for 10 spaces. Just go a few region would be really a more convenient strategy, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think being able to hone in on your own region first, of course, and becoming the expert there before touching base somewhere else absolutely makes sense. And thank you so much for joining us today as well and sharing your presentation. Both Sheena and Marie-Christine, very inspiring women. We're just grateful that they could come on today. And I think what we also learned here a little bit is all three of our partners working together sort of to have these resources available and these initiatives. And with that said as well, we do have our presentations available now. So we will hear from Vanessa from the Trade Commissioner Service. I have Catherine from Export Development Canada and David from BDC. And they as well have a little slideshow that I will gear up for everybody in just a moment.
Awesome. Thanks, Victoria. Just wait for it to come up. But thanks so much, Sheena and Marie-Christine, for sharing your stories. It truly is inspiring, I think, for everyone on the call to hear, how you guys continue to persevere and became success stories. So, and we're so happy that, myself and EDC and BDC could play just a small part in that. Awesome. I think the presentation is coming up.
Thank you.
There we go. So thanks, Victoria. As Victoria mentioned, my name is Vanessa Pucal, and I am a trade commissioner with Canada's Trade Commissioner Service. And I'm part of a team of trade commissioners that works out of the local Ontario office in Toronto. So as a quick overview, the Trade Commissioner Service helps Canadian businesses grow with confidence by connecting them with our funding and support programs, international opportunities, and our network of trade commissioners in over 160 cities worldwide. And just so you know where we kind of sit, we're part of the federal government, and our department is Global Affairs Canada. So we're the trade arm of Global Affairs Canada. So I just wanted to go over, everyone's always wondering who can be a Trade Commissioner Service client before I kind of dive into our offering. So in order to become a TCS client, there's a couple of things that we look for. So you have to be a Canadian business or organization that has meaningful economic ties to Canada, a capacity and commitment to internationalization, and you have a good potential to add value to the Canadian economy. And all of our services are offered free of charge to companies and organizations who meet these criteria. So it's always very exciting for companies. And essentially we provide our TCS clients, once we've vetted you to be a client or have approved you we provide you on the ground service in Canada at our regional offices where I'm based, and abroad at our embassies and consulates and trade offices. So we'll meet with you, build that relationship, and help you to make sure you're ready to do business abroad. So one of our biggest value adds in my opinion, I think, the companies I worked with us would agree, is our expertise, is our network. So this includes our expertise and support, and we can help you grow in the world through this amazing network that we have, which is why we've actually had trade commissioners around the world for 125 years. So ways that we help companies grow globally is through export sales, foreign investment, and other types of international commercial activity. And we do this through our network and our funding and support programs and initiatives. But you're probably wondering exactly what do we do? So we help provide key market insights insights and practical business advice. This is, really important as each country has different business contexts and ways to do business. We can help open the doors to new business opportunities globally. We will help you identify key qualified business contacts. So sometimes we may have contacts like I think Marie-Christine was mentioning, we can open those doors that maybe you can't open, or in other cases, if you're looking for translators with specific expertise in your sector, we usually have a great list of local translators and consultants and things like that could help you. And then finally, we help resolve complex business problems, and that can range from a wide things, but let's say you're looking for a contact at immigration to help you with your work visa, or there's something going on at the border you need help with. Those are things we can try to at least put you in touch with the right person if we can't help. Awesome. And then, so along with our network, we also have our TCS business support. So I've kind of tailored this more to women led and owned entrepreneurs or businesses, just because of, this is our strike up, the kind of follow-up call. But a few things that we offer is we have champions in all of our regional offices across Canada to support women entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurs of other groups such as Indigenous exporters, visible minority exporters, youth businesses, etc. And we do this, we'll kind of be your point of contact there. We can help connect you to the right people in our office who are working in your sector, and we'll also advise you of opportunities that come up for women entrepreneurs and things like that. And related to that is the initiatives and business delegations abroad that we have for women. So Marie-Christine talked about it perfectly. She recently participated in our Women in Tech program in California, just I think a couple months ago. And this is initiatives and business delegations that we do very often. In the last fiscal year, we actually had 52 of these, either trade missions or women-specific events or webinars or networking sessions. So it is something we do regularly, and we're always happy to have great women companies join and take advantage of that. Another thing we have is our Can Export program. I have my next slide is on that, so I'm not going to touch too much, but it's basically a funding program that when you need to get funding to help you enter a new market, there's money for that. So then, so I'll go into the next slide. I'm gonna, hold myself back there, but there is lots to say about that. And then finally, we have the TCS tools and resources. So this is open, of course, available to any Canadian business who's looking to export. We have online resources such as our export quiz, so you can take a look and see if you're ready, answer a few questions, see if you're ready to export. We also have our, My TCS account, so you can sign up for an account. We'll alert you when we have, trade events coming up, webinars. A lot of times we'll alert you to webinars that, EDC is doing that might be relevant to you, and things like that. And then we also have an amazing step-by-step guide for exporting. So if today you're like, I would love to just get a glimpse of what it's like to export, we haven't done it yet, I would start there, take a look at, what everything we go through, what you need to do, how you need to prepare, and things like that. And then, of course, available, this was made in collaboration with EDC and BDC, is the Canada Tariff Finder. So if you're ever looking for tariffs on your products you can take a look there. Next slide. Thanks so much. So just quickly before I wrap up, I just want to talk about the Can Export. So I'm going to focus on the Can Export SME program because that's the most relevant, I would guess, for most of you on the call. But this is a funding program that we have to help Canadian small and medium-sized enterprises increase and diversify their exports with funding ranging from $10,000 to $50,000 per project. So this can include what can you get funded? Business travel to international markets, market research, participation in trade fairs. If you're looking for marketing tools, we have online advertising for international markets. If you want to hire a consultant to help you with business tax and legal advice or market research, you can use this program for that. And even for intellectual property, if you need to get certification in a certain market, all of this can be covered under this program. And I actually think both of our speakers, Marie-Christine and Sheena, have benefited from the Can Export funding program in the past. So it can be really helpful just to give you that a bit of extra money, because we know it's not always cheap to enter a new market. And this is a cost sharing program. So the budget you would submit is up to $100,000, and we cover 50%, which means you can get up to $50,000 in funding for your project. So I'll after I'm done, I'll pop the applicant guide or the link to it in the chat so you guys can take a look and happy to answer questions.
This is a great program, by the way.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. It is very popular and has helped a lot. So in summary, I just wanted to, let you guys know to keep the Trade Commissioner Service in mind and what we have to offer. And, you know, get in touch when you're ready to exporting, or maybe you're already exporting and you want to chat with us further to see how we can help you along that journey. And as you can see, we have regional offices across Canada. So wherever you're based, reach out to that office where our coverage is, and we'll get you connected to the right person at our office who covers your sector, that we kind of sector specialist, so whoever is covering the sector where your company is focused on, and you know, we'll go from there and help you out. So thanks so much. I'm going to pass it on to my colleague Catherine Beach at EDC, so she can give you a bit of an overview on that.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you so much, Vanessa. Hi, everyone. Excited to be part of today's Strike Up Connect. Thank you so much, Victoria and Heather, for organizing this great event. I just have to say, it was so awesome to hear from Sheena and Mary Christine. They make our job so easy. And this is absolutely my favorite part of my job, being able to hear these stories firsthand, such great advice. So we are happy to speed through this because you already heard the best part. So as mentioned, I'm Catherine and I lead the Women in Trade strategy within the Inclusive Trade team at Export Development Canada, EDC. I'm speaking with you today from Ottawa, from my home, on the traditional unceded territory of Algonquin and Anishinaabe people, who we thank for sharing this land with. So for those of you who don't know about EDC, we're Canada's export credit agency, and our job is to help Canadian companies do business successfully in international markets. So how we do this is we use our deep knowledge of international trade and global buyers to really help us enable to take on and manage significant levels of risk to help Canadian companies grow. So we do this in a couple ways, and I'll get into that in a moment, but really through the tools that's required, such as trade knowledge, financing, solutions, equity, insurance, and business connections. So depending on where a company's at on their journey, different resources are available to help you along that. So next slide, please. Thanks. So EDC is part of the federal family of organizations that really work together to support Canadian companies as they venture abroad to grow and access new markets. So we heard that today, TCS and BDC working alongside each other, EDC and BDC working alongside each other. We often like to say there's no wrong door. So depending on the needs of where a company's at, we can help ensure that we refer you to the right organization. So it may be a little bit overwhelming to know which one of us to go to, but be rest assured, we will help navigate and introduce you to the right folks. And that even goes above and beyond just the ecosystem here. That's the broader ecosystem of organizations that support companies, as well as women in business organizations as well. And the last thing I'll just say on this slide is EDC works really closely with financial institutions. So they're a very key and strategic partner. You heard Sheena talk a little bit about how EDC and her bank were able to work together to help her get access to more capital. And I'll give a little bit more details about that in a minute. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so I will breeze through this to make sure David has a couple moments. So I just want to cover really high level how we talk about how we support Canadian companies into 4 key buckets. So at the beginning, companies are often seeking out information and market knowledge, and I'm going to share those specific examples on the next slide. So all of the resources I'm going to mention are available on our website. It's through a portal called My EDC. So it's a free online resource you can access by signing up. So definitely encourage everyone to do that. And a couple examples of what you can expect are on the next slide. So once you've signed up and you've created a My EDC account, these are just a couple of the resources. So the first one I suggest is, if you're really just early on in your export journey, you want to understand it better, I would check out the EDC Fit Light Learning Series. So these are bite-sized modules that you can really kind of dig into an export topic, such as market entry strategies, or learning more about cash flow management, or understanding more foreign exchange risk, or really how to develop a solid international contract. Another resource I'd mentioned here is just the Export Help Hub. So this is a curated digital knowledge hub where companies can get access to insights. It's really a repository of frequently asked questions. And if you don't see the answer to your question, you can actually submit it and someone will get back to you within a couple of days. There's 2 other resources that I had included on the other slide. That's okay. And that is a webinar that we did in partnership with the Trade Commissioner Service, all about how to get access to buyers and find new customers, as well as a comprehensive Women in Trade guide. Okay. So when we think about the other buckets of how EDC supports, Sheena did an fabulous job of explaining credit insurance. So this is really the first kind of financial tool we start to talk to companies about when they sell outside of Canada. And it is essentially protects your profits and balance sheets because it ensures the risk of non-payment. It also helps companies be more competitive because they can offer better payment terms to their customers. And it can also increase access to capital because banks are more likely to assign lending value to foreign receivables that are insured. The third bucket of support is around financing. So as companies grow and start to take on more contracts, we know they require additional working capital to really be able to respond to those opportunities and scale and invest in their business. So how EDC works for financing is really in direct partnership with financial institutions. So this is really to offer different guarantee programs so that the financial institution's risk is reduced, giving them confidence to provide more access to credit. And finally, like I mentioned at the beginning, we look to provide connections. So whether that be connections to ecosystem partners here in Canada, but also through our international offices that we have abroad. Okay, so I think that's it for me. I know that was very brief, but my contact information is here. I definitely encourage you to check out edc.ca, sign up for my EDC account, and I will pass it over to David.
Great, thanks, Catherine. I just being mindful of the time. Hopefully, we'll get a couple of questions there, Victoria. Let me start by thanking Sheena and Marie-Christine. I took down some notes, and I think they did a fabulous job of really emphasizing the importance of working with partners like TCS, EDC, and BDC. And what I took away from Marie-Christine was ask for money when you don't need it. Oh, very true. And from Sheena, it was know your books, which really speaks to financial capacity, understanding what those numbers mean. And I like to just say that it's okay if you do not know. That's what BDC account managers are here for. We listen, we ask questions, give you some advice, suggestions, and help you connect. And of course, we provide support. So my name is David Kim. My role is to work with BDC colleagues in the field and with partner organizations like StrikeUp, as well as EDC and TCS, to connect diverse entrepreneurs with people and programs to help you grow and scale your business. Now, if we move to the next slide, research got it right. And that is, as Canada's development bank, diversity, equity, inclusion are part of our values and business strategy. So we want our organization and the entrepreneurial ecosystem to reflect Canada's increasing diverse workforce and business community. And an example of our commitment to DEI is creating an inclusive supply chain and procurement process by sourcing products and services from diverse suppliers. I'm going to give you a high-level overview of what BDC is, so that I can speak to the most of our audience members here. And if you got questions or looking for more discussions, please feel free to reach out to me. So on the next slide, you're going to find out that this is what we do. And we've been around for 75 years, and we currently work with 95,000 business owners. Now, we support entrepreneurs in all parts of the country, and whether it's online or in person over our 100 business centers. So what do we do in terms of financing on the next slide? And that's term loans. And BC offers entrepreneurs access to working capital, the means to purchase equipment, invest in technology, and to export into new markets. And if we look at the international side of things, support on your international growth, what we often see is that entrepreneurs run into cash flow issues as they try to seize upon growth opportunities, such as going into the new markets. Now, our working capital financing is unique and designed to help the business without putting its everyday cash at risk. So we can complement your existing business line of credit, allowing you to purchase your inventory quickly, pay your suppliers up front to get special discounts, or to train your employees. At the very bottom, there is a great program that I want to touch upon very, very briefly, and it's the Canada Digital Adoption Program. It's comprised of grants and 0% interest rate loans. And BDC is able to process the program for you, and you can reach out for more information. Now, speaking about our advisory services, we help entrepreneurs basically try to work smarter. We know that entrepreneurs need more than money to succeed, and that's why we've been offering consulting services for over 35 years. Now, we have a national network of experienced specialists, and they're designed to equip entrepreneurs with the knowledge and the know-how to manage every function of their company, and can help entrepreneurs scale up, be more productive, innovate, and of course, get into new markets. And finally, we also support entrepreneurs in other indirect ways on the next slide. Our website, bc.ca, you'll find a variety of free advice, articles, tools, templates, blogs, e-courses, webinar on demand, and training courses. So that was very quick because I do want to, hopefully we have a couple of questions. And again, if you need more information, please feel free to reach out to me, and there's my contact detail. Victoria, over to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vanessa, Catherine, and David. I will just stop sharing my screen now. And if anyone has any questions or inquiries, now is the floor is open. And also feel free to drop it into the chat. I do know some of our partners and guests may have a hard stop here at 2 p.m., but myself and Heather will stay on board and be able to assist. I believe, looks like Heather here has also been dropping in everyone's contacts here in the chat too, if you want to just copy and paste it. But if anybody has any questions, feel free. If you'd like, you can just unmute yourself. Happy to answer anything that comes about.
Hi, I have a question.
Absolutely.
My name is Matt, and my company name is Some Events. We create wine experiences for business growth. My question is to the trade commissioners: do you have trade commission missions or trade missions to very specific parts of the U.S.? So, for example, I'd be interested in going to the Napa region to build relationships there. Is that something that's possible, or is that too specific?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So it totally depends. Sometimes we have very specific trade shows in specific sectors. Other times it's, more general. But I think in your case, the best thing, we could do is if you get in touch with me, we can get you to fill out an intake form and then make sure you're well connected. And we have, trade commissioners that are in that region that might know about more events that are going on. In addition, we have Agriculture Canada actually does a lot for the wine and food industry in Canada. So, if we're not the best fit or we don't have any programs going on at the moment, we can also connect you with them who would be able to also advise you, as they also focus on some export areas as well.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. I will make sure to take down your email information and connect with you.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Awesome. It looks like we have Amber in the chat here. What was a question for Vanessa?
Yes. Hi, Vanessa. My name's Amber. I'm actually just in the midst of getting incorporated. I've been in HR for over 12 years, and so I'm starting to do more of a consulting business. Eventually would like to take it globally to the Nordic countries. However, for now, is there any advice that you can give to me just with the TSC network? Because I know that under your services, there's network opportunities as well as market intelligence, just in helping me maybe potentially think outside the box. I've always sold my time to companies, and as nerve-wracking as it is, quitting six-figure salary to start my own thing and learning the process of having to get incorporated, it's been a lot. So I'm just wondering what kind of services the TSC network is able to provide.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best place to start is, sign up for a My TCS account and an EDC account as well while you're at it. There's always a lot of great resources. Like Catherine was saying, there's webinars that we do together. We also have some market research reports. They're, maybe not as detailed as the one you buy, but you might be able to get some information there. And the guide to exporting is really great to kind of give you that overall grasp. But as well, our model is serve or refer. So if we feel that you're, not quite ready for our services yet, we'll always refer you to partners and other organizations that may be able to help. For example, perhaps in your case, Startup Canada is a good place to look, or your local business associations are really great for building those networks, and they sometimes have a lot of resources and workshops when you're, getting the business off the ground, along with just connecting with other entrepreneurs is helpful. So yeah, you're always welcome to reach out to us. And if we, like I said, if we can't help you at this time, we'll send you lots of resources to kind of get started. And there's even the government of Canada has a business benefit finder tool where you can put in it asks you a bunch of questions, and then it will pull all the programs and services we have across the government of Canada, so you can see what would be a good fit for you at the time, depending on what kind of help you need. So I'll pop that in the chat as well for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Vanessa. I appreciate that.
No problem, Amber.
Okay, let's see. I think maybe one interesting question here we have is there like a quick decision-making tool for when to contact BDC versus EDC versus TCS? If any one of our partners has any tips maybe for any entrepreneurs when they're trying to navigate which one of you should contact, maybe depending on what stage they're at.
Oh, I could jump in there, Victoria.
Sure.
Catherine and Vanessa. The answer is, I think it's quite simple. Contact either one of us as early as possible, because the more that we get to know what you're thinking, what your business model is, or what you're planning to do, hoping to get, we're able to give you that advice, as well as saying, you know, what yes, course for you. So at the earliest possible, and you can reach out to anyone.
Vanessa?
Heather, I know our partners have a hard stop today, but I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, Tools of the Trade. Thank you to our special guests, Sheena and Marie-Christine as well for sharing your journeys with us. We had some amazing takeaways, and for Vanessa, David, and Catherine for giving us the insight into all of your programming and initiatives. And we will drop in everyone's contacts again into the chat. For everyone who participated, we'll also send you a little bit of a follow-up email with more information. And as a reminder, this was a recorded session and it will be available on our website within the week at strikeup.ca, and we'll send you a notification once it's available in case you want to catch the replay. So thank you everyone for joining, and I'm going to wish you all the best with the rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Good day.
And for anyone who's still with us here, I just had Heather drop in all the contacts in the chats.